this is Heather and welcome to my channel. Over the last few weeks I've been putting on some videos on how to do some basic crochet stitches. So far we've learnt how to create a slip knot, a foundation chain, we've learnt how to crochet a single crochet stitch and how to do an increase stitch. So I really wanted to put on a little pattern so that you can try out some of those stitches. And this one is super quick. It is a super easy pattern, and because we're using a super bulky chenille type yarn, it just works up really quickly. So it's a nice little project to try out your new skills on. So we're going to need some yarn, and I'm using 100% polyester super bulky chenille yarn, which is really nice and soft and works up really quickly. We've got our scissors, we've got our 5mm H8 crochet hook, darning needle, 18mm safety eyes, stitch marker, some soft toy stuffing, and you don't need this, but I like to use one of these gadgets for putting my safety eyes in, because it clicks them in really nice and securely. So for the bottom piece here, we're going to start off with our magic ring, and we're going to have a magic ring of 8 SC. And the reason for that is because those 8 SC will keep this bottom nice and flat. If we were to start off with a magic ring of say 3 SC or 6 SC even, this wouldn't sit as flat. It would be a little bit more of a peaked shape there. So 8 SC will keep this nice and flat for us. So to begin with, round 1, we're going to create a magic ring of 8 SC. I'm going ahead and using the method that I prefer, but it's absolutely fine if you want to do the other method for creating a magic ring, which was to create a slip knot, chain 2, and then put those 8 SCs in the second chain from the hook. That's absolutely fine if you want to do it that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then for round 2, all we're going to do is an increase in each of these stitches. And that is going to give us 16 stitches at the end of round 2, because we've got 8 at the moment. So that's round 2, and that's an increase in every stitch around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's my starting stitch of the round. I'm going to do my first increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, final increase stitch, and you can take that stitch marker out if that's getting in your way, and that's 8 increases. Round 3 is an SC stitch followed by an increase stitch, and we do that 8 times, and that is going to give us 24 stitches at the end of round 3. SC, this one's an increase stitch, there's the increase, that's my first set. So we're doing a total of 8 of those, so I'll do my other 7. There's my SC, there's my increase, that's my second set. So I'm going to carry on to the end of the round doing that, and I will see you at the end of the round. I've come to my final set of SC followed by an increase. And that should finish the bottom of our eagle. So all we're going to do is fasten off. So we're leaving about that much yarn, just enough to weave in the end. Pull it through, and then I'm going to cut this starting yarn a little bit because we don't need that much. And then this yarn end here, we're actually going to weave in when we're attaching this bottom to the body of Ego. For the main body part, we're going to begin with a magic ring again. This time we're going to do 6 SC in a magic ring. And like I said earlier, the reason for that is because doing the 6 SC gives us this nice, more sort of, not pointy as such, but more of a sphere shape at the top. We used the 8 here because we wanted to keep this flat. So round 1, magic ring of 6 SC. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops. Round 2 is an increase in each stitch around, and because we've got 6 stitches, that's going to give us 12 stitches at the end of round 2. I'm going to put my stitch marker in. Increase in each stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's my starting one. This is my first increase. A second increase. This is a really good pattern to do when you're just starting out because it is only using the single crochets and the single crochet increases. It's a good way to practice these and have something really cute at the end of it as well. It is a very simple amigurumi, but I think it's really cute. There we go. We've come to the end of round 2. And what you can do at this point is just check that you do have 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Sometimes when I'm crocheting, my mind wanders a bit, and then I realise that I haven't really been paying attention to how many stitches I've done. So I do stop and check that I have got the right amount at the end of a round. Round 3 is an SC followed by an increase, and we're doing that 6 times to give us 18 stitches at the end of round 3. So that's an SC followed by an increase 6 times. Give myself more yarn. SC, increase. And if you haven't worked with this type of yarn very often, this really soft fluffy type of yarn, it's a good idea to do this in really good daylight or with really good lighting, because the stitches are a little bit less clear than when you work with, for example, a 100% acrylic sort of chunky yarn where it's much clearer where the stitches are. So if you're struggling with this, just make sure that you are working in good lighting, and actually you find that you do get used to it. When I switch from working with the 100% polyester, not polyester, sorry, acrylic yarn that I use, I quite often work with this kind of yarn, this chunky acrylic yarn. And when I move from working with this to working with this kind of yarn, it can take me, you know, maybe a few rows before I start to get used to the yarn, because I don't tend to work with this one quite as much. And that's just because of the type of projects that I do. I usually prefer the acrylic, but for this particular pattern, I think this yarn really works better with it, just because we want that soft squishy look. But again, if you want to follow this pattern and use a different type of yarn, that's absolutely fine. Obviously just bearing in mind it will look different from the one that I've put on this tutorial. But it's fun to experiment with different types of yarn, I think. You can get so many different looks just by changing your yarn. So I've come to my last SC followed by an increase. And I should have 18 stitches at the end. And because I've been talking and I'm not really concentrating what I'm doing here, I better just check my stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Good. So for round 4, it's 2 SCs followed by an increase, and we do that 6 times. That's going to leave us with 24 stitches at the end of round 4. So 1 SC, 2 SC, and an increase. If you go ahead and do that another 5 times, and I'll see you at the end of the round. One, 2, and that final increase. And then for rounds 5, 6, 7 and 8, all we're going to do is SC evenly around these 24 stitches. So I'll do round 5 with you, and then I will meet you at the end of round 8. So we're just doing an SC in every stitch. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, oops, give myself more yarn, 8, 9, 10, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So that's the end of round 5. If you go ahead and do rounds 6, 7 and 8, and I will see you at the end of round 8. I'm coming to the end of round 8 now. 23, 24. We're now going to take our stitch marker out, and we're not going to break this yarn, we're keeping it on our hook. I'm going to just trim the starting yarn a little bit. We don't need it to be that long. And what we're going to do now is attach this bottom piece. So you can see we've got our shape now, and the next stage is to put our safety eyes in so that we can begin stuffing this body. And I'm using 18mm glitter safety eyes for this, and I'm going to get my mouse mat and my little gadget. The reason I'm using the mouse mat is because it'll stop my eyes from getting scratched. So I'm going to pull this out just a little bit so I don't lose this stitch, because we're going to need that. And then the safety eyes are going to go in at the side of the body away from your last stitch here. So if your stitch marker was still in here, we're going to the opposite side of the body. And the eyes go in between rows 5 and 6. So we've got, this is row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is round 5 and this is round 6, and we're putting our eyes in between these, about 3 stitches apart. So take your time, make sure that you're happy with your eye placement, because once you secure the backing, they won't come off. They are on there for good. So about 3 stitches apart. So there's my safety eye going in this hole here, and there's 1 stitch, 2 stitch, 3 stitches. I'm going to put my other one in here, and then I'm just going to make sure I'm happy with that eye placement. I'm going to check again I've got them in the right place. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they're between rounds 5 and 6. I've got that little space between them, is about 1 stitch in between them here. Obviously we counted 3 stitches, but that's taken into account the size of the eyes. Because I'm happy with that, I'm going to go ahead and secure my backing. Got my little tool here, which just clicks that really nice and securely in place. There's my other backing. Just watch you don't catch this part in that backing. So make sure there's nothing catching in that, and that's your safety eyes on. Right, we're going to start attaching the bottom of Ego now. I'm actually not going to stuff yet because the stuffing gets in the way, and we can add that in a little while. So we're putting our hook back into that stitch, and then we're holding the bottom piece so that the right side is facing outward like this. So there's the wrong side, and you can see the difference between the stitches. This is your right side, and of course your wrong side has your starting yarn. Put that starting yarn inside, and then all we're going to do is SC around to attach. So we're going into our next stitch on the body, making sure we're going through both our loops, and then we get the bottom, and I'm going to start with the last stitch of the round of the bottom piece, and I'm going in through both loops. And this starting yarn I'm going to actually weave in while I'm doing this, and that'll get that out of the way. So we're through both loops of this stitch, and we're through both loops, not lips, we're through both both hoops, both loops even, lips, hoops, loops. I'll get there. And we're going to do an SC. So this yarn end from the bottom is sitting like this. We just grab our yarn as we normally would with an SC, and we're going to pull it through both the loops here and both the loops of the stitch on the body to complete our SC. Like that. And that's it. We're going to do that all the way around, making sure that we stop to add our stuffing. So into the next stitch on the body, through both of those loops, and then we find the next stitch on the bottom. Here it is here, and we go through both those loops. Like that. I'm going to put that starting yarn there because I want to enclose it within the stitch. And there's our SC. And the next one on the body is this one, and we go through to the next one on the bottom, which you can see is this one here. Let me just show you with this needle. So here's the next stitch on the bottom. So we've worked into this stitch, now it's this one. Through both loops. Where's that starting yarn? Not starting yarn, yarn end. Put that there. And I'm not going to keep doing this. I'm only do this for a little while to weave that end in. And we do our SC. Through both, across to the bottom piece, through both, yarn end there, and complete our SC. I'm going to do that once more with the yarn end, through both on the bottom piece, yarn end is there, SC. I'm going to get my scissors now. I'm going to cut that one. I'm happy that that's secure. And I'm going to carry on about halfway around the body before I stop to add the stuffing. I'll do a few more. I'm going to move this mat out of the way now actually, because you'll be able to see what I'm doing a bit better, I think, against the white. So I'm going in, 12 stitches. Okay, let's look at what we've done. So you can see that looks like a really nice, neat join. I'm going to start adding some stuffing. Precure stuffing into little chunks. Not putting a lot in yet. I'll do more as I work, but I've put a little bit in just now. I'm back to doing my essays. Oops. A few more. I'm going to add more stuffing now. And I'll do this until I get the shape that I want. Just bearing in mind that stuffing does flatten down, does compress after a while. So if you add the amount of stuffing you want and then maybe just a little bit more. He is cute, eh? I think so. Yeah, I'll carry on with my essays. I'll probably add a little bit more stuffing. Right, how are we doing? Just check from different angles. See, it's sloping in a funny way there, so I'm going to add some stuffing up there. Improve the shape a little bit. I want them to look quite nice and round. Now, how are we looking? Oh, that's better. That's getting there. I don't want to put so much in that this is going to sit like this, because this is to stay quite flat. A little bit more and I think I'm done. Right, we're nearly at the end. Let's close him up. Just make sure you do go right to the end. That last stitch can be a little trickier to see, but you'll know because you'll have a stitch here that needs to have a matching one on the bottom part. There we go. What we're going to do now is bind off. So I'm going to leave about this much so that I can weave in my yarn end, pull it through. I'm going to get my darning needle, and before you secure this, just make sure that you're happy, you've got enough stuffing in, that you're happy with the shape. We're going to thread our yarn and we're going to weave in this yarn end. I'm going to start by going into this neck stitch here, just so that looks like a nice neat join, and now I'm going to weave in my yarn end, weaving in and out of the stitches on the body, and you do that a few times till you're happy that it's secure. I've gone this way, now I'm going to go back the way. And once you're happy that it's secure, what you're going to do is trim that yarn end, just give it a little pull, cut, and you're finished. And you have your small ego. And if you enjoyed making this little guy here, why not have a shot at making some different sizes? So we've got big ego here, and we've got medium ego, and you can find the pattern for these two sizes for free on my blog. They are very similar to how we did this one. We're using the same techniques, obviously, to achieve the different sizes. There are some differences in the pattern, but there's no different stitches. It's all the same stitches and methods that we used when we were making this guy here. So if you've enjoyed this and you've found it helpful, then please give it the thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any of my content. Happy crocheting!